So, this is a very special moment to be here. I am so honored and humbled. As some of you know, this time last year, I was in dialysis treatment, and I wasn't able to attend my fourth NET meeting. But today I'm here, and I get to celebrate this amazing journey with you guys. And I want to take you guys home with more inspiration and more excitement than you've ever had before coming for a conference. So, are you guys excited about that? Good. I wish I had the speaker thing. All right, I'm going to move around with this guy and do whatever I want. All right. Thank you. So, I know it's very easy especially if you've only been here for a few years, to be overwhelmed coming out of this conference. There's so much information, and you feel like there's so much that you need to attack. My objective today, whether you're at $50,000 in career sales or you're the only 3 people present at this conference that have sold more Cutco than me, which is Jason, Curtis, and Josh, is to leave you with some more clarity and excitement for what the future can hold with you. I had an experience in the last year. I had a very unique experience to come close to dying. And, oh man, I didn't think I was going to cry in the beginning. Wow. Okay. We're going to make it through this. So, I want to bring more clarity and meaning to this conference for you. Because obviously you had access to so much information, and I hope that you took a lot of notes. And I'm going to leave you with some action steps that hopefully will take you on the right track and make it easy for you to focus. But to get this started, I want to kind of bring it to 4 points, try to keep it simple. And what should you focus on? And what means everything when it comes to your Cutco opportunity? What takes you to the next level in your business? What makes it that you never want to leave this business? You want to build an empire. That's what it's been for me. It's been about building an empire. I've been in the business for 18 years. This is my 19th year. I write under $4 million in career sales. It's been an incredible journey. I've learned about myself. I've learned about people. I've learned about the world through all of this family that we have here. So I kind of brought 4 points to kind of bring this to you guys. The first one, if you want to write it down, is commitment. It's a word that you've probably heard so many times this weekend. Commitment. The second is courage. I'm going to talk about courage today. You're going to need a lot of courage to build your empire. Your empire. My third point is, go back. Commitment, courage. It goes really fast, but we got people and growth. That's kind of how life happens, okay? So let's talk about commitment. So commitment is like such a strong word, but people never really identify with it. They understand it, they understand the concept. But what does that mean to be truly committed? So I can share with you guys what it means for me to be committed is that every day that I wake up, I am committed to make it the absolute best day of my life as if it was my last one. That's the mission. And then I go through that process of knowing what's my bigger picture, what's my purpose, what's my vision. And that's how it kind of created this clarity of commitment for me. So I'll share with you guys that my commitment to my future self is probably the most important thing. Because it's like the 30,000-foot view that a lot of us talk about, right? If I could go 20 years, 30 years from now and look at myself, what would I wish that I had done today to make that future person freaking ridiculously amazing? And to make their lives, my life, amazing. So that's my commitment. And if you can't identify with that, to your future self, then today is much easier. Today is much easier. All the struggles and everything you have to go through, all the no sales and the this and the good shows and the bad shows and good experience, bad experiences, all of it is just part of that journey because you're building something towards something much bigger, right? So I am always committed to my future self, and I invite you guys to do that exercise for yourself. How are you committed to your future self? Because guess what? It's coming. It's coming no matter how much you want it. I used to be 21 too. I used to be 23, 24, right? So now I'm 39. So you think about that, it's already happening, right? So commitment to your future self is the first thing. What is that biggest reason for you? So I kind of want to tie it into purpose. My purpose is to inspire other people to be the best versions of themselves. That's always been my purpose. To take people on a journey of identifying the best person that they can be. And I've done that through so many different things, and I know Stephen talked about legacy, and I'm going to talk about legacy in a little bit because that also can drive you in a deeper level that you ever thought was possible. So commitment to your future self is the first thing. Let's see if we can go to the second one, courage. Let's talk about courage. So courage is a very interesting word as well. 11 years ago, I actually gave a wrap-up to RDC, what used to be RDC, after my dad had just passed away. And the reason I'm sharing this with you guys today is because when my dad passed away in 2008, I found out that I also had the same disease that he had. I inherited it. It's all my family. My grandfather died of it, 2 of my uncles, my father, all of them. So in 2009, when I came back from Haiti, my dad actually lived in Haiti, I had a choice to make. Whether I was going to let this disease take over my life and not build the empire that I built after that. Just so you know, I was at 2008, I was at about $700,000 in career sales. Angel Wings hasn't even started. None of this had happened at that point, just to kind of put in perspective for you, right? And I had so many important conversations with people, and we're going to talk about people today, the people in your life, where I shared with them that basically I felt like I had an expiration date, right? We all do, but when you know that you have something that your parents have and it's like killed every man in the family, it's very real, right? It's much more real. And I felt that I had that expiration date, but I made the tough choice, and it wasn't easy. The tough choice was to live fully every single day. Every single day. I said, well, you know what? I'm still here. So if I'm still here, I'm going to live fully. And that's something that I want to transfer to you guys. Because, you know, some people die just like this, right? But I had that expiration date, but I had to make that choice. And it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of courage to look beyond what I had seen with my family and the expiration date and just say, I'm going to break that seal. Not going to be that person. And so I made a choice. I made a choice to live fully, and I made a choice to live a life of philanthropy. Not to make my life freaking ridiculous only, but to make a life of philanthropy, to make a life of giving, to make a life of leadership, to make a life with experiences. And at this point, this is part of the meaning of this room and the CSPs that are here. I'd like to bring everybody that's been to Haiti with me on stage. If you've been to Haiti with me at some point, can you please come on stage? I'm shaking just looking at these people. Where's Carl Drew? Where's your husband? He built the clinic with us. Can somebody find Carl Drew?
He's in the lobby. Go get him.
Sure, go get him. Oh. It started with a dream, and there are the people, the very first trip. Carl, obviously, Heather, Drew, Susan, and Lindsay, and Susan's son. It started with a dream when we saved somebody's life on Easter Sunday on that trip in 2010. And we came to RDC. Give a round of applause for Carl Drew. He just wanted to make an entrance. And it started with a dream of having this really simple clinic, and you can kind of see the frame right there. And then it became this. And the picture on the bottom right are all CSPs that came right after the earthquake in Miami to help us pack a ton of things and build the benches. If you were at the CSP retreat in 2010, can you stand up? Thank you. This is the family. This is powerful. This is why we're here. It's for these people, for everything that we've built together. This is the meaning behind every day that we struggle. There's so many things much bigger than the next sale. And you can see a lot of those people sold a lot of Cutco. You recognize a lot of the big dogs here, right? And the bottom picture on the left is the day of the grand opening where 40 people came from the US and Canada to open the clinic. This is the last trip. This is a very special trip. As obviously I haven't been able to go to Haiti and I can't travel internationally quite yet. This is the very last trip we went in the mountains and served the people in rural areas. But that didn't stop there. And I want you guys to stay. It's cool. I also chose to coach a lot of people. In this picture, you'll recognize a lot of people. And one of the people you recognize, and I think about how our business have grown, you'll see Keith Hamilton, which was very young. Bless his soul, he's battling cancer right now. But Keith was in my group, and he was so young in the business, and people thought he was just, a waste of my time. And I invested in him, and today the federal program is creating more opportunities for so many people in this room. You think about how you connect with people and the things that can happen. And that's kind of what I want to illustrate today, right? Connecting with other people, how magical things can happen. These are some very special people. I call them the Fantastic Four. They're all on stage, except for Mariana. But then you have, so we not only, this is at the clinic, the day before the grand opening, but you also see how they're winning their first Standard of Excellence 4 years ago together. This is part of, I call my legacy. I know that if I didn't make it last year, some of those people would be doing ridiculous things to continue the work of inspiring other people. I know that. These are special forces. This is another group of people that I started coaching in 2017. And you see some up-and-coming superstars in that picture. And if we can keep going, maybe. And I talked about experiences. These are some of my favorite experiences in the business. These are with people that you know. You see John Woolen and his wife, John Israel, who's in the room right now too, and Monica, and the Storms, and Carl, and Heather, and Brandon Brown. Just so you know, this was Brandon Brown's first rep trip, and we kind of felt sorry for him, so we took him with us. He was at $150,000 in career sales on this trip, and we forced him to eat a cake. If you don't know the story, you should ask him. But the experiences never stopped there. We took a ton of people from Punta Cana. You guys are going on Punta Cana this year. This was when we took Punta Cana. We chartered a private plane. You see Jeremy right there in the front. And so many other people, including That is awesome, right? This is the first time that we took a plane from the capital to Jacmel, where we built the clinic, like some of those things that are happening. This is where so Brandon Brown and I have had more sales bet than anybody else I've ever had a bet with, and I won that bet. So he spent $942 on the dinner in Canada. And you know my favorite part about this story? You know, some of you always say, oh, you know, I'm embarrassed to sell Cutco. The owner of the restaurant came to see us, and he said, what do you guys do? And it was with pride that we say, we sell knives. Experiences didn't stop there. This is probably, when you think about the bigger things that you have, that you want to accomplish in your lifestyle, your life, I invite you to think about all those dreams and those things you want to check off the list instead of thinking about, should I or should I not invest in my show kit? Should I or should I not go all in? Think about the bigger things that you have, that you want to accomplish, and then all the rest of it is just like you just got to do it. Invest in your business. Think, instead of worrying about your business, think about the big things you want to accomplish. So this was one of my dreams. This guy, you can barely see him, but he's 92 years old, and his name is Charles Aznavour, and he is one of the most famous French singers in the world. I've been listening to him since I was a kid. My mom would take me to school, and after 20 years of never playing, he came back to do a tour, so I flew to Italy to listen to him play. That was a dream to see that. Music that I've been listening since I was like 5 years old. I share this with you because you guys have dreams like this, and you need to make them happen. And then I went to the World Cup and paid more for a ticket than I ever thought I would ever pay. And go to the final of the soccer game in Brazil. That was ridiculous. I actually had the privilege to stay at an Airbnb, and the guy that owned the Airbnb was the one delivering the cup. Talk about an experience. And being able to sit down with him and have that conversation. So, and then of course there's always family. I'll never forget when my mom turned 60, and I took her on a helicopter tour. She was so scared, but she'll never forget it. And she still talks about it. And to share a little bit of story, because I know you guys always think about what you can do for your family. My grandmother had just died of cancer 2 months prior to that. And my goal on my mom's birthday was to redirect her energy, because she was so sad. My grandmother always made a very big party for her. And so I called her and I said, I'm picking you up in the morning and we're going to go for an experience. She's like, oh no, what does that mean? And she's actually scared of flying. She always has to get Dramamine and all that stuff. She flies all the time, but she has to get it. So by the time it was like 15 minutes before we got to the airport, I'm like, okay, you need to take some Dramamine. Here it is. She was like, where the heck are we going? And I'm like, we're going to go get a tour of Miami. And it was amazing to be able to impact her day like that. She went from crying in the morning to like calling all her friends to tell them what had just happened. How can you change your family's world, right? Those are the kind of things that we have that are possible. So then I want to talk about people. And some of those people that are here, I could probably talk about every single one of you, individually. But there is a part of this that becomes even deeper, the journey that you take with people. So I talk about my army, and really that word came after my sister 2 weeks ago sat down with me and she started bawling. And she said, I am so sorry that I was not here for you more during the surgery and everything, because your Cutco family were so overwhelming. And they just kept coming and kept coming. And we didn't even know what to do. We were your family, but we didn't know what to do. And she said, Carl was ridiculous. He moved to Miami and sat down and did all the research, and he knew probably the same thing that the doctor knew by the time we got there for the interview. And all the people that came, it was just an overwhelming love from this family. And this is where you are right now. I just want you to take a second to appreciate that. This is your family, where you can struggle, learn, grow, challenge yourself, become the best version of yourself, and be completely unstoppable in your life. That's how I feel. That's how they made me feel, and that's how a lot of people in this room made me feel. I didn't even have time to understand that I was dying. I didn't. They didn't let me. And so some of those people are in this picture, in these pictures, and I kind of want to go through them. The first one was Susan. She flew down. She was the first person to come. And Susan is at 3.3 million in career sales. We've been friends forever in the Eastern region. The second person, or people, were Carl and Heather, who all actually moved to Miami for a month and never left until they had to. And you see some of those faces again, because they just kept coming and never stopping to be present. The Squid Squads, Steve and Alex, Jordan and his wife, Seth, who came to spend 5 days with me. He also shares the same name as my nephew. So that was kind of cool. Kerry Smolensky, who came to see me for a day. It was his dream to come down for a day and spend a day with a friend. He just flew down and came to see me. Kyle Law, who's right here too, on stage. Steve Spry, can you come to stage, please? Where's Steve Spry? So Steve and I have been working on the business gift program for the last couple years, and little did he know, when he came down, we're trying to have a meeting, and he actually saved my life. Because on that day, the day that he was on the dialysis treatment, he was actually giving me a massage right there. I spared you that part. I actually, if you don't know, but when you're on your dialysis treatment, I had a catheter installed by my heart so they can plug me in and clean my blood, because that's the only way I could stay alive until I got the transplant. And I was cramping very hard, so it was extremely painful, so I couldn't sit. And I'm like, I just kept moving. And finally, I stood up, and they never told me that you can't stand up when you're cramping because you don't have as much blood in your system, so it's going to completely get drained and you'll pass out. And if they don't put enough liquid back into it, you'll just literally die. Now what happens is I stand up, and luckily for me, Steve was sitting right there with John Cloby, and I fell on one of them. I still don't know which one. Was it you or John? It was you. So I didn't know, obviously, because I passed out. And when they revived me, we kind of figured out that I actually had a death experience that day, because the timing of me sitting down, what they told me and what I remembered was completely different. So I actually saw a light. I actually experienced that. I saw my body leaving, and then I saw myself coming back. It just literally went like this, and I came right back, and I sat down. But what they explained to me, that I was already sitting down. So this was actually my body leaving and coming back. And Steve Spry was there that day, and he caught me. And the reason that's important is because if he didn't catch me, and I fell, and the catheter was ripped, then I would have had 3 times more amount of blood, and it would have been the end. So there are so many things that lined up perfectly for us to be here celebrating and talking about this, about what's possible. So very surrounded by people. Even the president of Cutco came to see me, Al Leonardo, John Kane. Yes, you guys know who John Kane is. This is my last birthday before the transplant. This is us going to a kidney walk and having some fun with that. Those are my army. Those are the people that never left and kept coming back because they wanted me to survive. My nephew, with the power of kids, It's unstoppable. It was one of the first people I definitely wanted to see after the surgery because he's awesome. And I know I'm biased, but it's okay. That's my assistant who's been so strong. He's not here today, but I figured it would be important to highlight him because he never stopped. And he was so scared that I was going to die. This is the third match that I had for my kidney. And this is a pretty cool story. She was my assistant 8 years ago. And when she found out about the transplant, she said, I can't live without you. I'm going to get tested. I'm going to get fully tested. And she doesn't even live in Miami anymore. But the impact that apparently I had on her, she wanted to keep me around. And then there's Justin. So just so you guys know, there are 47 people that got tested for the kidney, and some of you guys are in this room. And most of you are in the back right here. Justin? Where's Justin? You want to come over here? So there is an interesting story and one of my favorite memories of Justin. Justin and I have been friends for a very long time in the business. What kind of ties in this whole talk is when we talk about commitment. And I remember a conversation that we had. I don't remember when the conversation was, but Justin reminded me of a conversation years later, how a long time in the business, he was 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And we had a conversation about commitment, and it kind of changed his perspective, because when he was telling me how much he was struggling in the business, I reminded him that he had 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I'm like, well, Justin, if you have both of your feet in here and you commit to our business, things are going to start changing for you. And he's still here, kicking some butt. And by the way, he was the most excited person to give me the kidney. He literally was the most excited. He went and did all the testing on his own in California, and he's like, I'm going to do this right now. Right after the NET meeting, he scheduled his appointment and got fully tested, and he was a match, which I am so grateful for. And he was there also the day of the surgery, but this is during the dialysis. Thank you, Justin, for giving me hope when I needed it the most. He was very excited, but somebody that was not very excited was the one that gave me the kidney. So this is how he feels about this whole kidney thing at first. Can you stand up over here? He would probably rather go. But he did go through with it, and this is the morning of the surgery. It's been an incredible experience, and he was also surrounded by so many other people in the back to support this whole entire craziness, really. Just to share a couple really moments. This is right after the surgery, and when the nurse from ICU comes and shows me to a room, and we found out that we were both alive and that we had survived that transplant. And now, kind of like sky's the limit. I don't know how many times I will have to thank him for saving my life, but I'm just going to keep saying thank you and keep living the life that he thought was worth saving, because that's what happened. He thought it was worth it. Thank you. Okay. We're doing good on time. So 3 months after, and this is the part that hopefully can inspire you, 3 months after the surgery, I'm a little bit stubborn, so I went out and sold 70 grand for SC2. While I couldn't carry anything, my assistant had to carry everything and drive, and sometimes my customers had to do that. But this is like celebrations of selling and selling and selling and just having fun. and seeing the legacy, the empire that you can build with your clients. It's been incredible. It didn't stop there. This is one of my favorite memories, and I shared the story with some of you. These are the clients that bought around $6,000 at Epcot over a coin, right? We flipped the coin, and they said yes to add that set of cookware, and just like having fun over the process. So that's a nugget, by the way. Just at some point, somebody's trying to decide, right? Tell them, all right, you want to flip a coin and see if we want to add that flatware? Why not? It worked. And that was like an $8,000, just kind of keep living that life, that empire that I've been trying to build for so many years. I am so grateful that I was able to do that and actually end up having my best year ever by $11,000 the same year that I had that surgery. Thank you guys so much. All of you. Thank you.
Now everyone's going to want to give you a hug.
Oh, I need to wear this. You guys want to stay? Yeah, stay. I feel so strong when I have you guys. So I kind of want to bring a little bit of this home and talk about growth. I know you guys been in this room or in this conference for the past 3 years. I kind of want to put a perspective for you of where some of it came from. I've been in the business for 18 years, and when I started selling Cutco, there were only like 2 or 3 people that had sold $100,000 in a year. In a year. Now you have people selling it in a month, right? Seth sold $200,000 in one of the months or something. I don't know if you tabbed it, but we'll find out. 204. Okay, there you go. There's never been a better time to be in this business. Honestly, it's so much easier than it was 18 years ago. There's never been a better time. And I think about the programs and things that have made this possible. The events program, $43 million of what's been created. I think one day we're going to be at $100 million. There's no reason why we wouldn't, right? I think about the federal program and what opportunities that's opened up for people, how it's put us on the map internationally. Sky's the limit with what's possible. I'm grateful that some of the soldiers that were in this with me in the beginning, people like Josh and Jason and Curtis and all of that generation, and the people before us, Carl, that was active before that, and Hal Elrod and Berghoff, all those people that have paved the way for this to happen. For this to happen. This magic that's happening right now. It was a time where we had to convince people that they could sell Cutco to pay their bills. That was that time. Today, we're talking about creating millionaires in Cutco. Think about that as a perspective. We're creating millionaires. People that are supporting their families, selling Cutco. One person stays at home and the other person supports the family. Think about what's possible in the future from what we couldn't even see and today. There are things that right now we can't even see or comprehend. But it's been created, and it's been created with this room. I think about the business gifts program. The business gifts program seems to be one of the sexiest things in the room. Is that so? I mean, John Woolen is still damn selling the #1 in the company, right? He's approaching $10 million. There is something there that keeps coming to our face. People are spending that money. Let's change where they're spending the money. Let's put more Cutco in people's homes through gifting. Sky's the limit for that. You may be uncomfortable with it right now, but we were uncomfortable selling at the booth at some point. Right? We would only ask for leads. Who knows about that? Did you know that we would ask only for leads? We're so scared to sell at the booth. Okay, well, I'll sign you up. I'll come and do a demo for you. That's what it was. And I remember that shift where it was, no, we got to sell at the booth. Everything else is bonus. We got to sell at the booth, and it's ridiculous the amount of kakao that's been sold right now at the booth. Think about what's possible with that. And adding the layer of business gifts at the booth, outside of the booth, and all of this exponentially growing. Our product is too good. It's too good for what we're selling. We should be doubling that, tripling that. It's too good. Our guarantee is too good. We've only scratched the surface. So let's talk about your growth. As you're leaving this conference, what is so important? What has taken some of the people that you see on stage throughout the whole conference? What has taken them to the next level? So I think about taking chances. Taking chances. Doing more events. Investing in your business. Not being afraid to be uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's always been my motto. I am comfortable when I am uncomfortable. Literally, because I know that I'm growing. If you can adapt that concept in your life, everything changes. Sometimes you have to give up what's good for what's great. I've had to make a lot of those changes and sacrifices and choices in the last 2 months to give up what's been very good for my business and my life for what I know is going to be great. What are those things for you? Ask yourself that question. What do you have to give up that's really comfortable right now? But if you give that up for what's great, it's going to open up a whole world for you. I think about getting involved. I think about the relationships that have been built in this over here through something outside of the business. Get involved. Get involved with a charity. Get involved with your community. Get involved with your team. Offer your talent. Give. I can tell you another motto of mine is to give. I don't care what I'm going to get in return. I know it's all going to work out. I know it's all going to work out. So I'm going to give and give and give and give and give. And you give that energy and you just see it like just coming back. It's incredible. It's incredible. Offer your talent. Offer it for free and see the dividends come back. Learn something every day. I think we've spoken about this a lot during the conference. 15 minutes of learning. 15 minutes. That's it. Start with that. What's the 15 minutes that you're going to spend learning today, tomorrow, and the rest of the year? 15 minutes of learning. And to wrap it up, take it one day at a time. So where do you go from here? You went from information overload, right? I know all of you feel that way. Like, man, there's like 500 things that I want to implement. What are your top 5 takeaways? What are the 5 top things that you need to do? What is that? Write that down. I'll give you a secret of mine. When I'm at a conference, I might write a lot of notes, but then I have a separate thing where I write down my takeaways only. It's like one word to remind myself of like, I need to do that, right? And that's the thing that I usually go back to, and it opens up information for all of it. What are your top 5 takeaways? What's the first thing that you want to implement? What's the first thing? And you may be thinking about this right now as we're talking about it. What's the first thing that you need to implement? What's your relationship with learning? I add that again because learning opens up that door of possibilities. Through cross-training, through conversations with people in this room, conversation outside of the room, or learning on your own, learning from people outside of the business that can offer you a different perspective. that may bring you back for appreciation of what you currently have here. A lot of times that's what happens. Challenge yourself. This is one of my favorite things to try to influence people. Challenge yourself every day to be your best. Your best. Not someone else's second best. Your best. Because that's how you're going to thrive. You're going to thrive by being your best. Every single one of you are extremely talented. Extremely. But in different things. Identify that. Make it stronger. Find a way to make it a pillar in your business that will be the needle mover. Right? And the last thing, because in my mind, the people in your life are very important. Who are the people in your top 3 categories? Who are those people? So when I say your top 3 categories, what do I mean by that? I mean, who are the people at your level that you talk to all the time? Who are the people that you're maybe teaching or influencing? And who are the people that you're letting yourself being influenced by? Who are those people? Do you need to strengthen those relationships? Do you need to have a conversation about the efficiency of that relationship? Whatever that is, who are your people? Who is your army? Who are the people that matter? Who are those people? Who are those people? Platinum. Who are those people? When you find out, as you leave this conference, when you find out your 5 takeaways, the first thing you need to implement, your relationship with learning. I challenge you to keep learning. And I also challenge you to be your very best and not someone else's second best. And identify and strengthen and do something about the people in your life. And with that, miracles happen. Thank you.
Keep it going for Andy Jeanty, guys. I'm going to tell you guys, I've been in this business for almost 10 years, and this stuff right here, that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. So guys, I just want to say before I hand it over to Dave to close it out, thank you guys so much for staying with us this entire conference. We're ending on time for I think the first time in our 71-year history.